Hello folks, Lone Adventurer here. Thank you very much for stumbling your way upon my channel, joining me for another playthrough. This is part 3 of my playthrough of Kuroi, which is a narrative skirmish game that you can get for a very reasonable price on Drive-Thru RPG. There's a link in the description below. If you haven't seen part 1, there will be a link up in the corner of the screen right about now, and links to part 1 and part 2, as well as to my playthrough of the designer's previous game down in the description below. Now we've got a little bit of housekeeping to do before we get into this new level of the building that our character finds themselves on. We set it all up in the previous video. However, in the previous level, in the lobby, we had searched for intel, which is the main action of the game that allows you to progress and to succeed, and I had not handled that correctly. So every round we roll 5 dice to determine what actions we can do. For the intel action, the get intel action, you have to dedicate a single die of 4+, and if you do that, it turns out you get 1 intel. I thought it was intel equal to the number represented on the dice. I was a little bit unsure about that, but that's the way I went. Turns out that's not the way to do it. So not 4 intel for this, actually 1. And then every additional dice that you dedicate to the action gives you an additional 1 intel. So this is 1 plus 4, which means that we're getting a total of 5 intel. And if you recall in the previous playthrough, I had actually dedicated all the dice to the action, I think. So that does mean 5. So previously I'd given our character 10 intel. Turns out it's actually 5. That was the big mistake, I think. So thank you to Ithaquus Bane, and to another viewer whose name escapes me right now, but I appreciate you highlighting that to me because it makes a big difference, obviously. If you recall, we need to get 12 intel in order to be able to leave the building and declare this heist a success. So we're quite a bit further away from that. Means we'll probably have to do another level after this one. I guess the maximum intel you can get per intel point is 5. Maybe there's other ways to get intel, I'm not entirely sure. But anywho, that's that. Another thing that I got wrong was related to the actions. It turns out that each action can only be performed once per turn, except for the attack action, which can be performed twice, once at ranged, once at melee. And I think I had at least one go where I had performed the move action more than once, and you can't do that. So there's that. And then the final thing was that the enemy actions, there are 2 enemy actions for each state of the enemy, a minor and a major action. And it seems that you have to do the major action and then the minor, and I was doing it the other way round, and that possibly might make a difference in terms of the characters getting caught in a particular part and sort of going backwards and forwards on themselves. Maybe. We will find out. So those last 2 points were brought to my attention by Night Phoenix Games, so thank you for your comments, and with those errors out of the way, we can continue. So we have come into this level, the canteen, down here. We've got 3 enemies. We have got an extra exit. Now at the moment, this enemy here is looking directly over this way, which means I'm not going to be able to get out of this area using a normal move without being seen. So we need to start thinking about some of the other actions that we have available to us. So we can sneak optionally. Move your character a number of squares based on your sneak rate. Oh, based on your sneak rate. This is the number of dice you roll, I think. Double move 1 square, or quad move 3 squares. Alright, I was just having a little think, because it says this action does not raise alertness when crossing an enemy's line of sight. So that was making me think, if I use the action to move into the enemy's line of sight, does sneak still allow you to negate the enemy becoming alert? And I think that it must, because the double can allow you to move one space. And so one space is only ever going to be into an enemy's line of sight. So I guess doing that using sneak is an okay thing to do. So yeah, I think probably we're going to be trying to move then sneak up to here, and then beyond that I'm not really sure what else we're going to be doing in our first go. Possibly not much of anything, but that is okay. Let's roll our dice, see what we get. Really, we don't need much at all. So we've got a double, and obviously we've got plenty of singles to play with. And now that I know we can only move one time using a standard move action per my round, and all I'm going to want to do in this particular round is move, there's not much point in doing anything else. So I'm going to use the 4 to move once, like that, still behind this wall here, haven't been seen by anyone. And that raises our alertness, or the alertness of the enemies rather, by 1. Remember, this dice is my health, my HP. That's currently on 10. So we're up to 1 on alertness. And then the 2 5s we're going to use... I'll tell you what, I could have... now that I've realised it, I'm going to backpedal a little bit. I'm going to use my other rolls. The only reason I'm going to do that is because if I get 4 5s, then I could move a bit further, because you can sneak a little bit further. Doesn't look like it's going to work out for me. 3 5s. Never mind. Okay, so that's not making any difference. Fine. So our 2 5s we're going to use to do the sneak action, double dice, moving 1 square. So we're going to move there, even though we're in line of sight, because we are sneaking. Everything is okay. Alertness is not raised when you sneak, as you would imagine. So as a little reminder, we have got some partial cover here, and that means that we can still use it for cover, but we can also move through it if we need to. We've got our intel that we're trying to get to over here, so we've got enemies all over the place here. It might be that we have to try and take one of them out in a sneaky fashion. But that's the end of my go. Now it's going to be the enemy's turn, and we resolve the dice from highest to lowest. So we start with whichever enemy is represented by 5s and 6s. We do the major actions first, then the minor action. So that is our green enemy. He's going to do major action first. 1 2, moving forward 2 is his major action. And then again moving forward 2, 1 2. So he's looking right at me. Then he's going to do the minor action, which is rotating 90 degrees clockwise, like so. Then our blue enemy is going to do a major action, moving 2 onto our exit, and then our orange enemy is going to move 2. So actually everyone's all over the place. At the end of the enemy's turn, we raise the alertness by 1, so that's going to go up to 2. And what we're going to do now, I think we're going to have to try and get through here, maybe over here, and hopefully we'll be safe there for a little bit. But it's going to be going past his line of sight, but through partial cover. So my assumption is going to be, I can't find anything in the rules about it at the moment, but my assumption is going to be that I can move through partial cover in front of this guy who's facing in that direction, and he won't see me. Because I imagine this to be some tables. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, since this is a canteen. And I'd be going under the tables, and so he wouldn't see me. Does that seem fair, or does partial cover just work if one of you's on one side and one of you's on the other side? Don't really know. Am I going to say that you can move through partial cover and receive the benefit of being in cover? I think I am. Maybe just because it's working to my advantage right now, but that's what I'm going to do. So this is for me. A couple of 5s, a couple of 1s, and a 4. So a pair allows us to move 3 spaces. So we'd be going 1, 2, 3. 5 of a kind would allow us to move anywhere on the map, which would obviously be amazing. A triple would allow us to move 5 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't end on partial cover though. So maybe 3 is the best bet, and then on the next go we go 1, 2, 3, and then beyond the intel, unless of course the enemy mess with my plan. Although there's also a slide action which allows you to move 2 squares with a single dice, but that increases the alertness of the enemy by 2. Let's roll and see if we get another number. Another 5. We have got another 5, so we could go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then slide to there. Or we could go 5 to there and then slide to there, and then we'd be on the intel. Now admittedly that would raise our alertness quite a lot, but you know what, I think I'm going to risk it. Alright, so with our 3 5s we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. You can move up to 5 squares with 3 of a kind. That's going to increase the alertness by 1, 2, 3. Using one of these 2 dice, I'm going to slide under the table and to the intel. And that's going to increase the alertness to 5. So the enemy are going to move quite quickly to a state of caution, because that happens once we hit 7 on their alertness. That's going to happen quite soon. But hopefully that won't prevent a successful sneak out of this door in a couple of goes time. Right, let's see what the enemies do. So our green enemy is going to do a major action, move forward 2 spaces, currently facing towards the partial cover. Now I'm assuming that means he turns, because why would a enemy, you know, go under some tables or over some tables? Then move forward 2 times, then 90 degrees clockwise turn. Lovely, facing away from us. Then the blue enemy is going to do a major action, which is moving forward twice. Then the orange enemy is going to do a major action, which is moving forward twice. So that's once. Turning clockwise and then going forward again, ending up on the same square, and then turning 90 degrees for the minor action. Okay, then it's our go. That's going to be where I stop, because when the end of the enemy's turn, we should have increased the alertness by 1. So yeah, we're going to stop there, because we're going to use the 5 to gather intel, which will get us 1 intel, as we now know. And then we're going to use all the other 4 dice to add 1 to give us a total of 5 intel, which means we've now got a total of 10 intel. That's the end of our go. I don't think gathering intel increases alertness. No, it doesn't. On to the enemy's turn. Green is doing 2 minors, which is turning once and turning twice. Blue is doing 1 major, which is turning, and then, this is interesting, then turning until they can do another forward move, and now is facing towards us and towards the exit. And then the orange enemy is doing 2 minors, which is 2 90-degree turns, like so. End of the go, we're increasing alertness to 7, which means that the enemies are now cautious. And when they are cautious, they are more alert, and they not only will see me in a direct line of sight, they will also see me if I go either to their left or right. So for example, this enemy here is currently facing that way. So in the previous state of alertness, unaware, they would only see me if I moved into their line of sight over here. But now they will see me if I move into their line of sight both in front, that way, and that way. So I guess it's much more likely that they will see me. However, I am going to be making a run to the exit now, so I guess it won't matter too much if I go into their line of sight. But let's see if I can manage that. Right, we've got a couple of 4s and a couple of 1s. That might do it, actually. A pair will allow me to move 3 squares. 1, 2, 3. I'm on top of the exit. If I were staying on this level, that's increasing the alertness to 8. However, it's also directly in this guy's line of sight, so they would immediately become alert to my presence and then start attacking me. However, I've got to the exit, and as far as I'm aware, that means the level is over and we have moved through the exit onto the next level. And when you get to a new level, the alertness resets. So we've done all right there. Now I'm thinking at some point, even if I don't need to actually engage the enemy, I probably should run through some combat anyway, just to see how that would work. But I guess we'll do that on the next level. We will set up a new level, we'll play through that, and if I'm lucky enough to manage to sneak my way through it again without alerting the enemy, at that point we will do some combat just to have a little play around. So we need to find out what the next level is. 9. 9 gives us a cafeteria again. We've had a cafeteria. 8. The med bay. Now this looks like somewhere where you're going to have some combat, because we've got 2 large solid walls, although I have got an item, haven't I, that allows me to go through walls, so that could come in handy here. So this is interesting. It feels like I really might struggle on this level to get to the intel and back to the exit without taking out at least one of these enemies. Right, I'm going to get this level set up and then we will have a look. Alright, so we are starting down in this corner here. The intel is up in this corner here. We've got 2 solid walls. We've got 2 areas of partial cover. We need to roll 2 dice. And if either of them are a 5 or a 6, we get a feature object. Oh, so you can have up to 2 feature objects, I guess. To see if this level has one, start by rolling a d6 twice. If you roll a 5 or 6 on either roll, the level has a special object. Oh, okay, so it is just one special object. Okay, alright. Okay, 1 or 2, we haven't got any special objects. So we will be resetting our alertness and then finding out what we can do in our first go. Ooh, look at the 4s. That's very interesting. So if I roll another 4, we can move wherever we want, which means we'll be able to move directly onto the intel. But of course that means that if this guy gets a minor move, he would turn, see me, and they'd become alert to my presence. So while getting to the intel immediately sounds beneficial, it could blow up in my face. But let's see whether it happens. Okay, it hasn't happened. I could, I think, spend some points to continue rolling that. Maybe we'll do that just to demonstrate that that's an option. So in the skill points section, we have our 4 basic skills that we haven't used since before the heist started, really. You can spend skill points to gain the following benefits relevant to your character's skill set. So we can spend a savvy point to re-roll any or all dice used in our tactical roll, which is what I think we just did. We can use combat points, skill points, to re-roll any dice during an attack roll, which we haven't done yet. We can use stealth points to re-roll any and all dice used during a defense roll. And we can use tech skill points to re-roll any or all enemy action dice. Hadn't even thought about that. So I think what we'll do is we will use one of our savvy points. So we've only got 2, but I'm going to use one of them to re-roll this to see whether we get a 4. And we didn't. Okay, that's fine. So we can use 3 dice to move up to 5 spaces, 5 squares. So I guess I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can't move a 5th because we can't finish on this partial cover. And obviously I don't want to, I need to try and sneak past this guy. So let's see what the enemy do. Yeah, I've got 2 dice left, but I don't really know what I would do with those at this point. Oh, you can also distract. I hadn't even seen that, or probably had, but I hadn't thought about it yet. You can distract, you can rotate one enemy in any direction, which increases the alertness by 1. That could definitely come in handy. Right, let's see what the enemy do. So our green enemy is going to do a major action, 1, 2, and then a minor action turning. Our blue enemy is going to do a major action, 1, 2, and our orange enemy is going to do 2 major actions, 1, 2. Then, in order to do it again, is going to turn, go forward 1, and then keep turning until such time they can go forward again, and they're going to end up like that. So I guess they're having just a sort of a little gathering and a chat there. Increase the alertness to 1, and then back into our go. That's looking pretty decent, isn't it? We've got 3 6s, a 3 and a 5. So 3 6s would allow us to move 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, we can't really do that because this enemy is looking in our direction and he'd see us walking past the back of this enemy here. So really we want to get there and then we want to sneak. But we can only sneak if we've got 2 matching dice, and at the moment we do not. So I guess we'll re-roll these just to hope that we get 2 matching dice, and we did not. That's a shame. So we use our 3 6s to go 1, 2, 3, and we are right up in them right now, but I can't go any further because it would alert them to my presence, so I'm going to have to stay there. There's nothing else I can do really, I don't think. Moving raises the alertness by 1. Actually, when we moved in the first round, we should have raised the alertness by 1, so we're at 3 alertness now. What are the enemy going to do? I feel like the enemy are going to... Can they see me? No, I think they only notice you if you move into their line of sight. Is that right? Yeah. It's only if you move into their line of sight. So if they turn towards you, they're not going to notice you because presumably you've stopped moving and you're hiding in the shadows or something. Right, so the green enemy is going to do a major. Can they end up on the same square as each other? I don't really know. I'm going to have to check that. No, they can't. They can't end their action where another character is. So he would go there, and then he would turn and go there, looking directly towards where I was hoping I would go. Then this character, the blue, is going to do a minor, which is just turning that way. And then orange is going to do a major, which would be turning, turning, moving, turning, turning, moving, back to where he started. And then a minor, which is just turning. So it seems to me that he is going to get stuck there for a little bit probably. End of their turn, alertness goes up to 4. They're going to quite soon become more alert to my presence. And then on to our go. So we are going to have to sneak now. We've got to sneak. Ideally I'd have 4 matching dice so I could sneak all the way over here. We've got 3 matching there, that's pretty good. And we've got 4 matching. Now what I could do you know what I could do? I could distract him, I guess, you know, by throwing something over here and creating a noise or whatever, and force him to turn to any direction. So I'm going to do this, I'm going to distract him, which does raise their alertness a little bit. They're like, something weird's going on here. And I'm going to get him to face in that direction, this way. And then with my 4 2s, I get to move up to 5 squares. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm on my way to the intel. Moving obviously raises the alertness to 6, and then it's the enemy's go. Alright, so our green is doing nothing, and then our Our blue enemy is just going to be spinning around on the spot, really, because for the major action, he's going to move 2, so he's going to turn until such time he can move forward, then he's going to go 1, 2, and then he's going to turn 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. So he's facing this way. Then our orange is going to do a major action. This is going to be the same as we've had previously. He's going to turn that way, he's going to move, then he's going to turn that way, but the other guy is there, so he's going to turn again, and he's just going to go down there. I forgot to put the exit on here, didn't I? That's important. Where's the exit? The exit is here. Yep. Alright, the enemy have gone, so we're going to raise the alertness to 7. That means they are now cautious, which means they're going to be more likely to spot me. But first things first, I need to get to the intel. So that's all the numbers, isn't it? Okay, so really we want to be moving 3 spaces. So I guess I'll just re-roll all of those. Knocked my wall down. Okay, so we've got 2 6s, which allows me to move 3 spaces. Do you know what? I might go for the intel straight away, because we can get up to enough intel to leave. Ah, that's annoying. No, it's not. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to use 2 3s to move 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. And we are on the intel. Our moving has raised the alertness to 8. As a reminder, when the alertness gets to 14, the enemy becomes alert and they will come and track me down and try and kill me. Now I'm on the intel. I'm going to use the 6 plus 2, so that's 1 plus an additional 2, so we're getting 3 intel, which is raising my intel to 13, which means we've got enough to finish the level and consider this heist a success. We're going to go on to the enemy turn. Lots of 4s, that's lots of major actions for Bluey. So we've got a major action for the green guy. He's going to do that, and then unfortunately turn and go there, which means he's facing towards where I want to go. The blue guy is going to do 4 major actions, so 1, 2, then he's going to turn until he can do his second one, 1, 2, then he's going to do his third one, he's going to go there, then he's going to keep turning until he's there facing back towards the wall. End of the enemy turn, we're raising the alertness to 9, and then it's back onto our action. Now, I think best case scenario is we just get here and then we wait, or a best case scenario is we can move, we get 5 matching numbers and we can move wherever we want and we can move directly to the exit. Yeah, let's see what we get. Not a lot of much. 2 2s. Or 4 2s. Ah, and a 5. Let's use our final savvy reroll. Now I realised actually that didn't work out, obviously. I realised that I probably could have changed what he did so that he wasn't facing this way by using my tech skill points to reroll any or all enemy action dice. We could have done that, but it's too late now. Right, so the 4 2s will allow us to move up to 5 squares. So I guess we'll be going 1, 2, 3. Now if we go 5, he will see us. So I think probably it makes sense to stay here and hope that we can last a couple more rounds without them spotting us. Enemy action. Oh, moving increases that to 10. It's a lot of 2s. And a couple of 3s. So the 2 3s mean the blue guy is going to do 2 minor actions, turning then turning. And then all these 2s, that's going to be 1, turn, going there, turning, turning. He's just going to get stuck, isn't he? Because he's going to go there, and then he's going to do the same thing. He's going to turn until, because at the moment he's facing that way, so he can't move. He's going to turn, he's going to turn, he's going to go there. He's going to turn there, can't go that way, turn there, go there. And then he's going to do the same thing again. So actually, he's just going to end up back where he started, I think, which is not very exciting, but there you go. Alertness is increasing to 11, and then we're going to roll. And I guess what we're hoping for here is lots of matching numbers so that we can sneak and then run. Ooh, 3 6s. We need something a little bit more than that. Oh, 4 6s. That's probably going to do it. Because we can use 2 6s to sneak. 1. And then we can use the other 2 6s to move 3 squares. 1, 2, 3. I think that's it. I think we've got out. So alertness would raise to 12. Remember, if it got to 14, they'd start taking me down. So it's pretty tight, but I have succeeded in getting out of the level, which is brilliant. Now at this point, what we could do, we could choose not to leave for some, insane reason, and we could do some attacking. But because this guy is cautious, they're all cautious at the moment because we've gone over 7, that means when I move next to him, he would have seen me, and they're all immediately alert to my presence. So if I was staying here, in the next go, they would start thinking about attacking me. So the enemy actions move from patrol to engage. And they've got an engage, move, and engage attack. And they do engage, move until such time that they can attack, and then they do engage, attack. So let's say the enemy was now doing stuff. So starting with Greenie, he's got 2 major actions. Now he's right next to me, so he can totally attack. So he'd be doing engage, attack, major. The enemy strikes using their ranged or melee attack value increased by 1. So we need to have a look at the enemy stats, which we've got here. These are standard soldiers. This guy has got a melee attack score of 2. But because we are going into, or we are in the Arashi Tech building, that means the enemies are harder. And actually, it means they've all got +2 on melee. Plus he's getting an additional 1. So I guess that means he's got 5 on melee, which sounds pretty scary. So we've determined the attack type. Oh, so they always do a ranged attack unless they can't. If the enemy has a ranged attack value and has line of sight to your character, they use a ranged attack. If the enemy lacks a ranged attack value or the line of fire is fully obstructed, they attempt to close into melee attack. Okay, so I guess that means that he does a ranged attack. So that's the same ranged attack value. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. To defend, roll a number of defense dice, d6, equal to the enemy's attack value, which was 5, pretty brutal. Subtract 1 from this value for each partial cover or armour that you have. I do not have armour, there is no partial cover. For each defense die, compare it to the weapon's damage value, DA, listed in the enemy's weapon profile. Each defense die that rolls lower than that value inflicts 1 wound. Right, so the soldier is using an assault rifle, which has a DM. I think that might be referred to elsewhere as a DA value. And so we're rolling 5 dice. So that is the ranged attack value plus the additions that we talked about. On a 3+, we have managed to defend. So any 1s or 2s means we take damage. That's what I think it means. And I've now realised I've re-rolled all of the dice that I was using for their actions. So actually I needed separate dice to do the attack roll, because now I don't know which characters are doing which actions. So I've got myself in a little bit of a pickle. But I think you see the point. We have got 3 points of damage being taken there, so we're taking 3 points of damage. So I can see how this could quite quickly become quite a dangerous situation. So they would all attack me. That would have taken me down to 7 points of health. and then we would go into our turn, and probably we would try and run away, but if we were cornered, we would try and attack them, and you have to dedicate dice to attack in much the same way as you do with move. So here we've got 2 4s, 3 4s, okay, and 4 4s and a 2. So our 4 4s could be used to attack an enemy, so it would be +3 to hit. So let's say we're actually going to attack this enemy here. Let's do it. So for us attacking, we would determine attack type. Let's do a ranged attack. So it requires line of fire and requires a ranged weapon. We have got our sidearm, which is the basic ranged weapon that's not that good. This action automatically raises alertness to maximum, as you would imagine. Within 2 squares is close range, more than 4 squares is long range. So we check line of fire. We've got line of fire, we're absolutely fine, he's right next to us. There's no partial cover, there's no full cover, there's no blind spot. Then we're going to set the aim rate. Use the following aim rate chart to find out your aim value. We have rolled 4, so that's coming as triple. So it's 3+ to hit. Then we would calculate our attack rate. Refer to your weapon's attack rate, AR. The attack rate for the sidearm is 2. This determines how many attack dice you can roll, so we'd be rolling 2. Each die that matches or exceeds your aim value hits the enemy for 1 wound. So we're trying to roll 3s. And we've rolled 1 3, so it reduces the enemy's remaining HP by 1. And this enemy has +4 HP because we're in the military place. So they've got 6 HP, so he would still have 5 HP. So you can see that, much like with the video game Metal Gear Solid, really the best way to succeed is to sneak around and not alert the enemy to your presence. I think that if I was stuck over here and the enemy found out about me, my options would be to run for the exit or probably to die. I think once you get into the swing of things with the combat, it's not overly complex, but the combat loop is different for the when the enemy are attacking compared to when you are attacking, and there's quite a few numbers involved. But as with the rest of this game, when it boils down to it and when you get into a rhythm with it, it's fairly straightforward. Anyway, I think that's going to be the only combat that you see in this playthrough, so apologies if you're watching hoping for some combat. Declan, our hero, has made it out of the building. If you recall, every time you go out of an exit from a level, you can optionally choose to leave the building. And because I have got 13 intel, I'm going to choose to leave the building. So after pulling off a successful heist, you get credits equal to double the amount of intel you gathered. But any gear and weapon you used during that heist gets destroyed. The only things you take between heists are those hard-earned credits and your cyberware. So we came out of that with 13 intel, which is going to get us 26 credits, which means we're going up to a total of 32 credits, which is pretty awesome. Now, we will not be able to take our stim pack, which we didn't use, our laser cutter, which we didn't use, or our sidearm into the next heist that we do. But 32 credits, I mean, it's not much. We could buy ourselves one of the cyberwares, so a brain enhancer that gives you +1 savvy, or a neural link which gives you +1 tech. Really, we can only afford the basic ones right now, rather than going for a signal jammer, which reduces the reinforcement track by 2. We never got round to talking about the reinforcement track, but that would be beneficial. Or a cybernetic arm for 30 credits, which means you gain +1 AR during a melee attack. I'm sure that would be very handy. But really, with only 32 credits, I imagine we'll just be going into the next area with a better weapon and a couple more items. Before the last heist, we had retained 6 credits, so I guess I would look to retain closer to 15 or probably around 15 credits. So we're gradually increasing the amount of credits that we are taking between heists, and eventually I'll be able to afford some cyberware. But there you go, folks. I think that's probably where we're going to leave it for Kuroi, which I think you can agree, if you've made it this far, is a cool little game. I'm going to be leaving it on my table for a little while longer and playing through a few more heists with Declan. Hopefully Declan will continue to experience success with avoiding enemies and sneaking around. I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't find ourselves in a position where it would have helped to do a silent KO and take an enemy out, but I think that was a fairly successful playthrough. Let me know in the comments what you think of this game. If you haven't subscribed by now, please do consider doing so. I've got plenty more interesting playthroughs coming up in the next few months. Thank you very much for joining me for this one though, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.